Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome to the show. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy. You're listening to Literacy for All on WS Radio. Our guest today is Jabez LeBret. He is the Chief of Schools at Sisu Academy, and he's been, actually, you're the first person to be on our show twice. So,
yeah.
Welcome to the show.
I'll take it. That's an early Christmas present.
Yeah, very good. And so glad to have you back, because I know when you and I first talked, you were doing some of I don't even know if it's the initial work, because, you know, where are you in the process? Because you're putting together a school, I want to say, for foster teens, maybe, and at risk, and you're going to clarify better. And I know there's a lot of work with all of that. You start thinking about it, and then evolution happens and life happens. So where are you with your school? And tell us more about it.
Oh, a lot does happen. So we're a tuition-free boarding high school, and we're an all-girls school that is opening up here in San Diego here in a couple of months. And man, you know, our target population, you know, really, I think San Pasquale is doing a great job with the foster youth. The Monarch's doing a wonderful job with the homeless. We're trying to fill that gap, probably just above that slice of population that are just in need of some, more attention and maybe some more support.
Very good. And more and more people are finding out about what you're doing. I know you're doing outreach, and it's kind of one of the things that you do. You made a big life change to focus on the mission of your academy.
It's been incredibly inspiring. I mean, I came from the private sector, and my wife and I, you know, left our jobs, and I sold my company, and we jumped into this full time. Found some smart educators, and it's been the best decision we've ever made.
Excellent. I one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show. Our theme today is kind of that older teen population. We tend to forget about them, even in literacy work, where we say it's never too late. We have a big emphasis on adult literacy. We have a big emphasis on parenting and getting to kids in those early crucial years, and then whatever we can do to get people to read by age 8 or 9, grade 3 or 4, and then we kind of fall off. And so when we find people like you who are willing to take on a real challenge, because you're talking about teens, you're talking about a lot of distractions, just the way that we've done things with technology and entertainment these days. Individuals who may not have ever gotten the help with reading that they needed. Foster care children, just a whole lot. Oh my God, just a whole lot to. I don't want to say overcome, because you're coming into this with a lot of faith. But we have that teen population that's a real challenge. As we say, the adolescent literacy population is probably our toughest. We need someone to help us with perspective on that. What are you finding with the people that you're working with in this age group?
I think it's you touch on something really critical here, and it's that the system as a whole, I think the opportunities for support tend to dwindle as time goes on. And so we do see a lot of effort into early childhood, which is important. But certainly by the time you get into high school, if you haven't gotten there yet on a lot of subject ranges, and reading being one of them in particular, then there's just not a ton of support to get you there. And something that happens is that you lose interest in even the idea of wanting to read. And I look back at my own educational experience, and so I started disconnecting from education in 5th grade. I couldn't read by 3rd grade, so I was in that resource reading room where they're trying to get you caught up. And by high school, I didn't care about reading. Like, reading didn't matter to me. It wasn't important. It wasn't anything I was interested in. And so if you're throwing, Macbeth at me, or you're throwing To Kill a Mockingbird, amazing stuff, which I enjoyed later in life when I finally discovered an interest in reading. Something that we're discovering is that we really have to meet the student where they are, not just intellectually and with their aptitude and their capabilities of reading, but we also have to meet them where they are with their interests and their motivation and their passion and desire to want to read.
And that sure makes a lot of sense. And, one of the guests that we've had on this show is Daphne Russell. She wrote a book called Read or Die. And what she did in her classroom, and it's a book I'd recommend to you. She was teaching in Tucson for about 29 years, but she said, if you go in my classroom, you're going to see 30 kids 30 young people, teenagers, who are reading. They're all going to have a different book. But she found where their interest and found characters in books that they selected from to get them excited about reading. What changed things for you? Because it sounds like you lived some of this, so something had to happen to say, hey, I like this stuff. You say classics to young people, like, I don't think so. So what happened? What changed things? And then we'll come back to it, 'cause I think
College?
it's important there.
The doggone Jesuits. I'm always blaming the Jesuits
You're right.
for ruining my cushy, nice, uninformed life that I had prior to. So I ended up not graduating from high school, and really it was 3 years before I went into college. And so I can say in that 3-year period of time, I did almost no reading, none at all. I just wasn't a thing that I did. When I got into college and started to get around kind of the concepts of philosophy and understanding that history has a place and a role in the shaping of the world that we live in, I started to become interested in different kinds of reading at that time. And for me, that was mostly reading about philosophy and how history impacted philosophy, because I thought that was interesting. And to that point, it was something I was interested in. And then all of a sudden, reading was not a chore or an assignment. It was something I wanted to do. And I love the fact that she has, by the way, an amazing title to the book, right? Read or Die.
Yeah.
Read or Die. I love that.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that she acknowledged that you want to find something the students are interested in. It doesn't have to all be the same book. Yeah. And although I do think there are some books that are important to read at some point in your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in 10th grade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting to me that you talked about a little bit about philosophy and such, and I just moved out into a home on my own, which I really enjoy. But I left my roommates, my roommate and his 20-year-old son and 16-year-old son, Riley and Casey, in case they're listening. And all of a sudden, Riley has just been totally turned on to philosophy, to the Stoics, to the Roman philosophers and stuff. And it's like, and he's quoting. I'm like, holy smoke! Aren't you supposed to be, in front of a flat screen and playing, whatever that Fortnite and all that? And he's totally into and just totally absorbing. So when you find that connection, like you did, like we want our teenagers to do, then things happen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a student that goes to a school up in Boise, Idaho, who's really passionate about music. And subject areas that he didn't know he was as passionate about included math and reading. And now he wanted to study and read about different components of music, from music theory to music history to
Holy
music.
smoke. Yeah.
So, it's getting out of the way of the student and letting them kind of find their path into the reading. And then I think the important role of the educator is to be the person aware to facilitate and guide the growth, right? To stretch them to become better by opening up more opportunities ahead of them, not by pointing them in the direction they need to go.
So tell me who you're finding, because I know you're working on this. Is your wife also one of your partners?
She is, yes. So we're co-founding the school.
And then are you finding people of like thinking who are working with you, other educators, people who understand, what we're doing in our public schools is not necessarily, we have a whole conversation about that, but it's not working for a population of students. So we do things as you're doing in Sisu Academy and looking at, hey, there are things that we can be doing that work that aren't happening in other places.
We've been humbled and blessed to have so much support. At first I wasn't sure how the different factions of schools would react to what we're doing. We're a pretty small school and we're fully operational with 350 students, and we are really trying to help the student that just is not working in the current system. And to be honest, the public schools understand that not every student's going to thrive for all sorts of reasons. Yeah. And so we've gotten really good support from the Unifieds and the local public schools, just understanding that we're solving a certain problem and that we can work better together. As opposed to being on opposite sides, if you will. Yeah. And, for our student population, there's wraparound services that they need. When you can take care of the food and the shelter and the safety and the consistency and get them into a safe environment, things like reading can happen.
It can happen, right? and you're trying to produce, or you are producing, or in the process of producing, an environment residentially, is there such a word?
Yes.
For the student population.
We are a residential program, 100% boarding.
Very good. And that's just amazing. I don't know who else is doing it here. I would gather if you have affluence, maybe you look for that and you find that. But you're talking about a less affluent population for your school program.
Why shouldn't they have access?
Yeah,
That's what
very
we
good.
say.
Very good. I love it. Goodness. Yeah, we'll take a break in about a minute and a half. I just want to make sure that we cover the fundamentals and get into really the whole challenge. One, I mean, we talked a little bit about it. That's getting the person's interest, dealing with some of the basic the survival needs that we have, but also getting them to believe that, hey, I can finish high school, I can go to college. You know, how does that transformation happen? I think when you were on the show last time, we had James Wright, and he was from, I don't know if you, and I was going to ask you who else you've met out there. We can come back to that. But James does Classrooms for the Future, and they're also very interested in, hey, we want to appeal to a student population. And I would guess that would be all student populations. Yeah, I want to go to school to prepare for a career. And so that's part of creating that interest and incentive to make things happen. So, let's chat about that. But did you get a chance to talk with James?
Yeah, we've connected. I've had a chance to connect with so many amazing educators in town and different programs, from after-school programs to schools, to charter schools, public schools, to superintendents and just educators.
Man, I've missed a lot. Just a whole lot's happened since we last chatted.
I think it's important that we're more collaborative in nature. Yeah. And you talk about making sure that a student's prepared for a career, and I think the conversation that we're all having is, well, what does that look like in the classroom? I mean, if we're talking about, for years we've been saying, we don't know what, 65% of the jobs that exist 10 years from now, we don't even know what they are yet.
We don't.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, so let's talk about what that classroom looks like and other things related to the work that you're doing. I'm Jose Cruz. We're on the Literacy for All show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple, and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com, on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book, Virtual Assistant, the series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Homeless veterans and their families are suffering and need our support, but many won't ask or don't know that help is within reach. Veterans Community Services is here to help. Amazingly, about 35% of the homeless in our neighborhoods are veterans with families. Low-income veterans or their friends are encouraged to contact Veterans Community Services and reach out for help with housing and other services. Call now, 800-974-9909.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children, because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Donate cash, furniture, clothes, and other gently used household items to Father Joe's Villages and get a nice tax break in April. Every donation is tax deductible. Believe you can make a difference. Be Father Joe. Go to neighborhood.org or call 1-800-HOMELESS to donate today.